virtually removed the possibility of a perfect 10. So you've got Blaine Wilson, you've got Paul Hamm, and then you've got what's left in these USA Gymnastics Championships. And for someone like Guard Young, what's left may be a bronze medal. That's a major thing.
I tell you, he just will not go away. He was in the hunt in 2000 to make that Olympic team. He fell a little bit short, but he's added a lot of difficulty in some amazing combinations like this one right here.
How do you do it, guys? You know, when you set your sights on a goal like the Olympics and then you know when you miss, it's 4 years, 4 long years to keep doing this day after day when no one's watching.
And Guard was being pretty wishy-washy because after the Olympics, he was involved in an international event at the end of the year and really didn't want to commit to the sport. And look at him now.
So Guard Young done on the parallel bars.
Very good exercise. Good start for him in day 2.
And he's got those protective armbands around the bicep muscles to protect on those release moves.
He really has gotten a lot better, though. Nicer look about him and very nice. Giant to a double back, knees together. And he has done well with the code, upgrading his routines, adding a few new parts.
And Guard really sees a place for himself on this U.S. team. He really feels that he can contribute next year at the 2003 World Championships and possibly the Olympics.
9.175 for Guard Young. And those World Championships a year from now will be in Anaheim, California. Here's Alexander Artemev from Denver, Colorado at the age of only 16.
And he is unbelievable. It's so hard to describe how good this young kid is. He makes mistakes like landings like that, but he is so tremendous. The only thing that he lacks at this point, you see him struggling on a little bit of a press to a handstand. He just doesn't have the physical strength that he needs to compete with the big boys. But I tell you, on 3 events right now, he's not just a top U.S. competitor, he is world class.
And one thing Artemev illustrates that we need to be reminded of time and time again is how powerful DNA can be in sports.
Yeah, his father, a very accomplished gymnast himself. His mother was an accomplished rhythmic gymnast.
Out of bounds.
And a little bit over on that. The hand touch will cost him 0.5 of a point. And another bit of a problem.
Talk about his rise in U.S. gymnastics. We were here for the early morning practice this morning. He and his father were the only ones in the gym training, working on all those basics.
Dad was a top gymnast. Told me at one point was a national champion. This young man, he has struggled with consistency, but even with huge falls, he always is near the top of the rankings. A little bit too long in this corner here. Get a small deduction for that.
Oh, and a very simple laid out final tumbling pass. That's odd.
Something wrong here. That is not what he was supposed to do, a 2.5 twist.
Seems like he grabbed his left arm.
I didn't see anything in the exercise that would have been a major problem. I know that he's a little bit beat up. That's his dad right there. Grabbing that elbow again. Possibly in the flare elements, that's where you would have the most problem. This is his first tumbling pass, super hard, double front at the end, over rotates and puts those hands down, takes a step forward, and goes out of bounds. Those are all deduction.
So we're trying to figure out what's going on in these USA Gymnastics Championships. We've got a leader, we've got someone in second place, but who's going to be the challenger to that lead? Paul Hamm has the big lead over Blaine Wilson and Sean Townsend, the defending national champion. And we'll tell you Blaine Wilson's amazing, heartbreaking story, heart-wrenching story, heartwarming story when we come back.
The United States Men's Gymnastics Championship is brought to you by Chevy. The cars you can depend on, the cars that last, will be there. By the preferred card of the U.S. Gymnastics team, Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. And by Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Imagine you are Blaine Wilson, a two-time Olympian and five-time U.S. national champion. This time last year, a shoulder injury kept you from defending your title. In fact, from making it 6 titles in a row. But at that very same time, your wife was home pregnant with your first child, a son. You're training and competing like you always did. But then, everything changed in a blink.
I definitely think that that was probably one of the hardest things that anybody could ever go through, and for him it was very hard.
It was weird because I was over the night before. You know, we were sitting around watching movies and you could see the baby kicking. I got the call the next day. I just got back from work and, you know, Blaine called and said, you know, can you help me out? And you could just tell in his voice something was wrong.
Something was very wrong. Only 2 weeks before his son was to be born, the baby stopped breathing. There was nothing that could be done. Nothing but try and move on and fill the emptiness, the unused nursery.
It's a hard thing to grasp, you know, because you're about to have you're about to have a son, and you really don't even get to know him before he's passed on.
I think it was almost a wake-up call for him to kind of see where everything stood in life, and, you know, how important was, you know, gymnastics compared to marriage, to everything else.
It's changed me as a person quite a bit. All of a sudden, for me, gymnastics wasn't, you know, it's not the biggest thing in my life anymore.
In time, Blaine's shoulder was strong enough to re-enter the gym, and he began to train again, and began to move on again. But this time around, it was with renewed purpose and a different focus. No longer was a bad day defined by what happened in the gym. And the sport that used to be his obsession became his outlet.
I have a totally different respect for gymnastics. I have a different mentality for it, and I guess it's not life or death for me anymore.
I think he's got a little bit more appreciation for everything, a little more appreciation for life.
This year in Cleveland, Ohio, Blaine Wilson is trying once again to be the best gymnast in the country. But the best news for him, his wife Makari is pregnant once again. A daughter is due soon.
Now looking forward to having a daughter very shortly. You know, I'm ecstatic. I don't think it's, you know, I think it's going to be great.
We're both really excited. I mean, if anything, it's just another challenge, you know, for the two of us, but we're both looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, eventually, for most of us, it becomes a painful ride at one point or another. Sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late, but it is usually inevitable. And the lessons that come forth from those ups and downs are what make you as a person. For Blaine Wilson, we're seeing an emotional side, a caring family side that we never saw before. We saw the brash gymnast, the kid who was riding a motorcycle off into the sunset without a helmet. And now he's got a helmet on and he's buckled in.
We always knew that Blaine was a champion of gymnastics. I think he's really a champion of character as well. Place he can definitely be gymnastics champion again is on the still rings. One thing the surgery and all the heartache couldn't take away was his tremendous upper body strength.
Now, guys, when we saw the American team peeling apart in Sydney, Australia, did you think that Blaine Wilson would have what it takes to stick around for 4 more years?
It's really remarkable because he is not a young kid at this point, and this sport is difficult enough without the personal problems, and that was an unreal routine. That's going to get a gigantic score out.
But there's one thing after Sydney, I remember seeing it in his eyes. He was not happy with that performance. And Blaine says the sole reason why he has come back is he wants a team medal at the Olympic Games. That's the only reason why he had shoulder surgery and that he is here.
And you can talk about national championships, you can talk about world championships, but if you spend a sniff of time in this sport, it is all about the Olympic Games.
Is that one moment in time for every athlete out on the floor. It is what they dream about when they close their eyes and go to sleep.
Huge score, 9.925 for Blaine Wilson. Can I get that done to my biceps? That looks